Voice of college football here, talking Texas A&M as we do on a regular basis with Andrew Hattersley from Gig'em 247 Sports. So you know what you do. Head on over there to Gig'em 247. Check out Andrew's work. Andrew, hope you're enjoying your summer.
Yeah, it's been a busy road. We've been on the road quite a bit. Spring ball maybe over for Texas A&M football, but a lot of high schools now are rolling through spring ball. So it's been good to see a lot of coaches get back out on the road for really the first time in 2 years. Get to see kids in person, working out, and so it's been really nice to kind of see kids get a lot of opportunities, and I know schools feel really good about that kids have been able to work out in front of coaches finally.
Andrew and I decided before we started to record that we're going to act like it's 2015 and we're not going to say that naughty little 3-letter word. We're just going to for at least this one recording,
Yeah,
pretend it doesn't exist. Let's just talk about football and recruiting and what's going on.
Yeah, there's enough out there right now that people, experts out there digesting everything that it's tough to wrap your mind around.
Exactly. If lawyers and other people that have been in this kind of line of work, marketing and all this other stuff, can't get their arms around it, then shoot, my goodness, it's tough for all of us. No question about that. But more along your lines of work, a couple of cornerback commits in the last month and a punter. So love to get your rundown on those guys.
Yeah, so we were kind of joking, me and my coworker Brian Peroni, on after the spring game, because we kept getting asked, are there going to be any commitments this weekend? Are there going to be any commitments? And the first one to lead off the commitment train was Tyler White, a punter out of South Lake Carroll. Brian and I kind of joked that's what everybody was waiting for. Everybody was waiting for the commitment and coming out of the weekend. But it's a good pickup for A&M. He can really boom. He's one of the top punters in the country in this year's class. So they got him on a visit, and he decided to go ahead and commit right then and there. Over Texas was another school pursuing him, so they didn't really want to wait and potentially miss out on him. And then a day later, A&M picked up a commitment from Bravion Rogers, and that was a big one because he's a top 100 prospect. And actually, the whole process took about 2 weeks. It was apparently a bit of a dream school for him, and he picked up the offer, made visits on back-to-back weekends, and then ended up committing. And that was a big one because Texas was another school in the mix there. There were Alabama had offered, Arkansas, Georgia, Baylor. I mean, his offer list was pretty significant. And one of the things I think that stood out with him is, even though he hadn't picked up the A&M offer yet, he was willing to camp and come to camp this summer to earn an offer. And I think that was really telling for a kid that frankly doesn't need to camp. He's the number 7 cornerback in the country. I don't think he had a lot left to prove, but was gonna come to camp anyway. And I think that just showed his real interest that he had. But a guy that has great athleticism, I think they'll try to get the ball in his hands and in a number of different ways, potentially on special teams. Dude, even could give him a look on the offensive side of the ball, depending on how the cornerback board kind of looks at the end of signing day. And then a day later also added Javon Thomas. So I had 3 commitments in 3 days coming out of the spring game. Javon Thomas is the kid out of South Oak Cliff, and South Oak Cliff obviously is coming off a state championship here in Texas, which was huge news. And Javon Thomas is a kid that, again, really versatile, can play on special teams, had offers from Texas, LSU, just picked up an offer from Alabama after he committed to A&M. So another guy that was really coveted. And he went on a visit to LSU and kind of knew coming out of that visit that A&M was the school for him, and felt like the right spot. And so he went ahead and decided as well. And, I think the one other interesting storyline to kind of note out of what Bravion Rogers and Javon Thomas said was both kind of cited A&M's defensive line class from last year as a big reason that they were intrigued by heading to A&M and why they wanted to head to A&M, because they said if you can play behind a defensive line like A&M is putting together, that makes your job as a cornerback a lot easier, because quarterbacks obviously can't hold the ball for as long. So that's been a big selling point, I think, from the A&M staff this spring is, come play behind this defensive line, and you'll have a lot easier life than maybe some other places.
That is really smart on their part to be thinking like that, because cornerbacks are typically, as good as they are pretty cocky and figure they can handle anybody and lock them down. But at the same time, a smart cornerback knows an average to decent wide receiver can make a top-notch cornerback look good if the quarterback's just standing in the pocket. I think it's the toughest job on the football field.
It really is. You have to have a thick skin.
Lock in these receivers, and yeah, absolutely, they're going to get exposed at some point if there's no pass rush.
Yeah, like they have to have a thick skin. You have to be able to turn the page quickly, and so it is really smart. And they're not the only ones that have said it. There's a lot of guys this cycle that have said it. So it's clearly that something that the A&M staff is hammering home during visits and really trying to sell them on.
So, Andrew, you mentioned with briefing on Rodgers, maybe they can flip him to offense. And I don't know if you were acting a little tongue in cheek there, but he did run for 1,000 yards as a running back at 10 yards per carry. I was looking at the defensive stats on these guys, but as is typical with top cornerbacks, nobody throws at them, so their defensive stats do not blow anybody away. But briefing on Rodgers also averaged 37 yards a catch. So that's pretty
great. He's just one of those guys. If you can just get the ball in his hands, he could absolutely, he could cause problems on either side of the ball, really. And he's a guy that I will definitely be out to see this year. And you're right. He had 102 carries for 1,006 yards and another 336 yards receiving. I mean, he really kind of made plays on both sides of the ball, and also was good on special teams. And so I really think he's a versatile guy, and I think that's what a lot of schools liked about him is, we'll just take him as kind of a tremendous athlete, and then once he gets on campus, figure out where he fits best.
And with Tyler White, we dismissed the punter, but he is the best punter in the nation in terms of the rankings. So he's the top punter in the nation. And this is a Texas A&M legacy right now in regards to not him being a legacy, but in regards to punting legacy of having some of the top punters in the nation go through there.
Well, they really have emphasized special teams, and it's been an area of strength when you look at from Seth Small, Braden Mann, Nick Constantino, Tyler White. They took a kicker last year as well. That was one of the top kickers in the Ethan Malczalski. Took him last year. He was an All-American Bowl kicker. So it's clearly a point of priority that they're going to keep guys in line, keep guys kind of build the depth there, and have guys ready to step in, because you find out how important special teams are when you don't have it. And so I think that's clearly a point of emphasis to keep adding to that side of the ball.
Andrew, with these official visits coming up, you got 6 hard commits in the 2023 class, but of course Jimbo and the staff looking for more.
Yeah, it doesn't ever stop for the staff. Once they kind of come back from heading out on the road and hitting a bunch of schools, June's going to be a busy month. They'll have their regular Texas A&M football summer camps, which will get underway on the 2 big ones are the 8th through the 10th of June and the 15th through the 17th. Then on both of those weekends, beginning with June 10th, it's looking like June 10th and June 17th are going to kind of be the big weekends that they have a significant amount of visitors in town. On June 10th, Harris Sewell, Jaden Chapman, and Colton Thomason have official visits locked in. But all 3 of those are offensive linemen. Beginning with Colton Thomason, he's kind of emerged as a leader of this class as a commit. Has been committed since He actually committed last summer, last July at their pool barbecue, and has built a really good relationship with Steve Adazio and being a really active voice. So, it'll be good to get him in with a couple other offensive linemen. Jaden Chapman is a guy that they offered this spring and are continuing to work along. Texas is a school very much in the mix there. And so, LSU and Alabama are also in the mix for him. So, and then Harris Sewell. This is going to be a huge one for Harris Sewell. A&M and Alabama and Texas are three of the big ones right now, along with Clemson. A&M, Alabama, Clemson, and Texas are really the four right now that are positioned to get official visits, and it's going to be a big weekend. He's one of the top guys in the class. I saw him last fall, and he is just an absolute monster inside. Just exactly the type of guy you want guys like Devon Achane and Amari Daniels and all those guys running behind. He's really a road grader, and so it'll be interesting to see if A&M maybe gets a couple more offensive linemen in that weekend and tries to kind of turn it into an offensive line type of weekend. And then they'll have a couple targets kind of saving dates until the fall. And then June 17th is also stacking up to be kind of a big one. They've got Connor Stroh, who's down to 5 schools. He's down to A&M, Arkansas, Texas, Auburn, and Florida. And that's going to be an interesting one because A&M, he's an Aggie legacy. His family all went to A&M. But A&M kind of got in the mix just last month with an offer at the spring game. And so, he's kind of got some longer relationships there, but also some very strong ties to A&M. And so, Texas and Arkansas are definitely big time factors in that one as well. But, I think he'll be the first one to say that he does have some strong ties to A&M. Now, does that mean he's guaranteed to go there? No, not at all. But I think he definitely loves A&M, loves the culture, loves the program, and so now it's just about whether he can build a relationship with the coaching staff and whether in these 3 months that's enough for A&M to really win it over. Caleb Jackson, they've got a couple running back targets on the board, and so it's going to be kind of interesting to see where he fits. Cedric Baxter and Reuben Owens are probably the top 2 targets on the board, but Caleb Jackson certainly right up there as well. And he's from Baton Rouge, so obviously LSU is going to be very much in the mix as well, and pulling a kid out of Louisiana is never easy, and so A&M will take their shot that weekend. He's got a great relationship with Tommy Robinson, who's from the area, and then Adam Hopkins out of Georgia was supposed to take his official visit during the spring game, but pushed it back to this summer. And I think a guy that A&M sits in a really good spot with, if you were to make that visit. I think A&M would definitely be in the picture there and kind of sit as one of the front runners. And we'll see if that does end up happening on June 17th, or if there's more shuffling around. But he's definitely a guy to watch. And then the other one is Sadir Mitchell out of New Jersey, is a guy that Elijah Robinson has strong ties to that area. It's kind of an East Coast guy and does really well recruiting that area. So he's coming in on June 24th, and I think he's kind of going to fit into that nose tackle type of role. And he's also kind of I don't think he's in a rush to really do a whole lot of visits, but he's got one locked in to A&M on June 24th and Georgia on May 20th. So those are the first 2 he's got locked in.